Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the Rodecaster Pro 2. Rode just launched their brand new Rodecaster Pro 2, which I've had a couple days now to play around with. And you can see here, I've got it all set up right here. Now, Rode does advertise this as an integrated audio production studio. So it's an all-in-one unit, and it certainly is a powerful unit. It's got a lot of good things about it, but it does have some downsides, which I will definitely talk about in this video, especially if you're looking to be using this as a streaming device, or if you're a gamer or streamer. I would definitely want to watch this because, like I said, I got some strong thoughts about that. I do want to preface that I had a Go XLR for almost a month before I ended up returning it for the RCP2 because just the overall I/O and connectivity and the quality of this unit is just so much better than a Go XLR. And I primarily do gaming and streaming, a little bit of streaming, but primarily gaming. And I just wanted the extra I/O that this unit brings over the Go XLR. So it just, as you watch this, at least you know that that's kind of where I'm coming from here. First and foremost, let's talk about the form factor. As you can see here, it is a relatively square, boxy unit. It measures about 12 inches by 10.5 inches tall, and I want to say it's about 3 inches thick. On paper, that really doesn't sound like much, but there is something to be aware of is if you want to have this on your desk, and if you would like to be relatively close to the monitor. So this is, arm's length away from the monitor. That's kind of how close I'm sitting here. That doesn't leave you a lot of space on the desk. So it's just something to be aware of, especially if your desk is very shallow. Now you can see here, I've got it all mounted up on a microphone arm. And this actually works pretty well. This is an Elgato LP or Elgato Wave LP mic stand arm thing. I'll make sure to link it in the description down below if you want to find out more information about it. But the Rodecaster Pro 2 has a 3/8 inch connection on the bottom. It can also take a VESA mount, but I believe the VESA adapter isn't out yet as an accessory, so you can only use the 3/8 mount. But in any case, you can mount it to this microphone, low profile microphone arm, and it works perfect because I could move it around a little bit. I get to twist and turn the angle, and it just sits pretty nicely to the side, out of the way. And I can game, I can do whatever, I can see the screens, and I have all the access to all of this stuff, and it's perfect. It's a perfect setup the way I've got it set up right now. As for the build quality of the unit, it's very good. It's primarily made out of hard plastics. The top of the unit has got a metal shield, and the faders themselves are very smooth and are made out of metal. The smart pads and the other rubberized LED buttons are made out of hard rubber. And it's actually kind of interesting where the regular buttons, the small buttons, the mute, these buttons are a little bit squishy and tend to move up and down, while the smart pads don't have much travel. It's almost touch sensitive in the amount that it travels. So as you push it down, they don't give all that much. The mute buttons, on the other hand, move and squish as you would expect. Up to the top right-hand corner, you've got access to your 4 headphone volume knobs. These are just knobs about 270 degree in rotation. They don't push down or anything. Now you do have a larger knob here that does push down. So if you hold it down, you can mute your volume. And this is the monitor or your speaker output volume. And by holding it, you can unmute it and you can change the volume, and you can see the little dial up here to indicate the volume of your speakers that this controls. This also has little notches in there. As you turn it, you can feel it, and it will also control some of the settings as you page through the settings, like increasing decibels. You can turn the knob to increase or decrease the gain on your microphone and those kind of things. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. On the back of the unit, you have access to 4 inputs. These are combo jacks, so they take XLR or 1/4 inch TRS in. That's kind of your line in or your instrument in. You can plug those directly into here. To the right of that, you've got your studio monitor outs, TRS connections. These are balanced connections, so I've got it connected from TRS to XLR balanced into my studio monitors. The line level connection or line level signal is +4 dBu, which is basically the professional line out levels. So if you didn't know, professional audio equipment usually needs a higher gain or more power to drive, and there's a level difference. And indeed, the Rodecaster Pro 2 is designed to output that higher gain for professional audio equipment. To the right of that, you got 4/4 inch outputs for headphones, one for each channel as it's designed. Finally, you've got access to 2 USB ins, your Ethernet connection, your SD card, and your power button, along with a USB Type-C power connector purely for power. So this connector right here, this doesn't do any data, while these two right here, these are for your audio in from your computer, or if you were to use a smartphone audio in via USB, you can also do that. The data connection for the SD card does only work with the USB 1 port. Does not work with the USB 2 port. So that's kind of the I/O of the unit. As you can see, there's a lot of connections. And the primary reason why I switched from the Go XLR to this is because of the studio monitors balanced out that you can get from the RCP2, which I really like using speakers. And the Go XLR just didn't have that. It had a line out, and you had to go from line out headphone jack to RCA, and I just didn't, it wasn't really good, and the quality wasn't really good. It's nice to say that the RCP2 has really good audio out quality, both the headphone and the studio monitors. They've got a good clean signal out with very little hissing, so that's good. As a side note here, I did actually have some hissing with the microphone input XLR connector, and that was primarily because of the way I was routing the cable. I swapped out the cable and the hissing went away, and I went back to the same cable but rerouted the cable a little bit and the hissing went away. So I don't know what it was about the cable or the way I was routing it, but there was just some extra grounding issues or whatever that was causing the hissing. But again, moving it from the cable tray removed all of that, so everything's perfect now. The last thing I didn't actually talk about here is the actual screen that you get on the RCP2. And this screen is a very high quality screen. In fact, it's probably on par with some of your older iPhones. I think it's a very bright screen, and it's a very vibrant screen, and it tells you everything you want to know about the RCP2 in general. All your levels, all your connections, and it even shows you virtual connections. So as you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 physical sliders, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you can have 7, 8, 9 virtual sliders or virtual volume in here. I've currently got it disabled. I only have the Bluetooth shown here just to space it out a little bit. This is kind of the way I have it configured. So for my 6 physical sliders, I've got it currently configured as input 1 and 2 on the left here. So that's XLR 1 and 2 in. I've got USB 1 master, USB 1 chat, USB 2 input, and then I've got my last physical slider here. This is the smart pads, that right there. So I can change the volume with the slider there, which is very nice. And then the last one, the last virtual one, is the Bluetooth. The Bluetooth signal. I don't have anything connected to that right now, but it is nice to be able to control that if I do have something to connect via Bluetooth. And just for reference here, the microphone I'm using is a Shure SM7B. This is connected directly into the RCP2 without any cloud lifter or fatheads. The RCP2 is rated for, I want to say 72 decibels of gain. 76 decibels of gain. I've currently set it to 63. I do run my microphones a little bit hotter. I think most people run it in the 55 to 60 range. I run it at 63, but that's neither here or there. overall, it works great. There's very little hiss, and indeed, it is working as intended or as advertised, so I'm pretty happy about that. The reason why the RCP2 has a dedicated screen is because it's designed to be a standalone unit, especially if you're podcasting or if you're doing a lot of those live shows or just something that doesn't have a computer connected. It's designed to work by itself. So it's got both an Ethernet connector on the back and as well as a Wi-Fi antenna, so it can connect to Wi-Fi, get software updates that way. So it, like I said, it doesn't need a computer, but you can actually use the software. I think it's called Rode Central software, load it up and connect it to the RCP2, and you can configure it that way. It is important to note that everything I'm talking about software-wise is early days because this just released earlier this week. So there's a handful of bugs and handful of issues that we're kind of seeing that may be updated via software later on, but and maybe even the UI or the capabilities may change over time. But again, this is early days. So with the Rode Central, as you connect to the RCP2, there seems to be a little bit of a bug in connecting. Sometimes you have to shut off the unit. Sometimes you have to unplug it, replug it back in to get it to register. I fully expect them to fix that issue in a firmware update, but that's just something that I'm experiencing right now. If you do get it connected to the Rode Central here on the software side, you can control some of the basic things. However, you're still not able to control the processing or the post-processing, the noise gate, the high pass filter, the de-esser, and the compressor and all that stuff. You can't be controlled on the software just yet. Again, I fully expect them to build out the software to be able to do that because I don't see why you couldn't, but you know, the online software or the manager software is still, I want to say it's a version 1, or at least it's actually, I think it's a version 2, but with 2.0, but it still needs to be updated for that full capability. The screen actually will dim, or if you've got it enabled, it will dim based off of brightness, and there is a brightness sensor, ambient light sensor to match with that, and you can see it's changing as I dim or I block out the light here. Other things that you can configure here in the software, you can change the headphones, you can change that sensitivity of the headphones depending on, you know, if you're using IEMs or over the head high impedance headphones, you can change that. For the monitoring, for the audio speakers, you can have different software options to auto mute when you've got the faders lifted up. I've currently got it disabled, and actually this is one of my gripes about the RCP2 is the lack of routing and audio options of routing, which kind of goes back to this. Because right now, I can auto mute if I've got a slider turned up, but I can't actually pull or remove a channel from the audio output. So with the Go XLR, you know, you get the full audio routing table, and you can choose this output can hear these 3 channels, but you can disable like whatever channel, right? You don't have the capability to do that in the RCP2 yet. Now, I'm not saying that they will definitely add this feature, but for streaming, I think if you're advertising this for gaming or streaming, I think it's absolutely necessary to give you a full routing table. So what I usually like to have is for the speakers to completely remove any audio input, so you won't be able to hear the microphone talking in the speakers, because that's kind of distracting and you'll get feedback, right? But if I'm using headphones, I will definitely want to be able to hear myself talking in the microphone, that live monitoring. Headphones is great, speakers is not so great. So I would love to be able to change that in a routing table. This doesn't have the capability. You only have the capability of muting the speakers if the slider is up. So that's their way of dealing with feedback. It's halfway there. I don't think it's fully baked yet, or the the software is fully baked yet. So I think there's definitely room for improvement. Other major things here, you've got multi-track output to your computer. So if you use a DAW or some kind of software that can ingest the multi-track, you can definitely output that. I don't use any of those features, but certainly if you're working with some kind of audio software and definitely want that multi-track output, you can have that. Other things here, you've got additional processing capabilities. You've got the ability to listen to specific channels based off of the buttons that you push, and you have options to listen to pre-fader levels or after fader levels. The options are all in here, so I'm kind of blowing through all these different options. Maybe I'll make another video with going through the software very specifically, but I don't want to make this a 20-minute video here. Actually, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I kind of want to just gloss over some of the stuff here and just get to the main points here. With that all out of the way, now I want to talk about the main reason why I wanted to make this video today, because there's something I really want to get off my chest, which is this RCP2 is really lacking in some serious features for streaming and gaming. I do realize that the original RCP1 was not meant for streaming. It was primarily meant for podcasting and recording, and I think it does all those things very well. But now as the RCP2 is kind of designed and pivoted a little bit to have all of these different capabilities, and they do advertise it as a streaming and gaming audio input unit. Especially in their advertising promotional material, they do show gaming, but there is some serious features that is lacking from this. And one of the biggest gripes I've got with the RCP2 is, again, I touched upon this, is the lack of a routing table. And I'm okay without a routing table if the channels and the USB inputs are working as intended, or as you would imagine if you were streaming. So let's just get into the issue. So if you have your computer plugged into a USB 1 main channel, right? You have your system audio set to USB 1 main channel. It's kind of like how you would set up a Go XLR, right? Go XLR, you would have your system audio, go to system audio, your Discord chat, go to Discord chat, and then your music channel goes to the music channel. Well, this doesn't have that many channels. So you've got USB 1 main, USB 1 chat, and USB 2 secondary. So those are your three options. If you got your PC connected to USB 1 main, right? If you got your PC connected to the USB 1 port, in your PC, in your Windows, you have two options. You got USB 1 main and USB 1 chat that pops up. So naturally, I set system audio to USB 1 main, and then I go into Discord and I set my Discord to USB 1 chat and USB 1 chat input output, right? Input output. At least that's kind of how I would have thought it would work. However, as soon as I did that and I fired up a game and started playing, my friends online were saying, hey, I can hear all of your computer sounds. They could hear my iTunes, they can hear my YouTube browser, they can hear my game sounds. And the USB 1 chat was not segregated from system sounds. So everything that the system that was going into USB 1 main was fed through USB 1 chat. Normally, if you see chat, you would imagine that it's completely separate. So apparently, the intent of USB 1 main is to be able to be heard across all of the different channels. This works well if you have multiple people using podcasts and they want to all hear everything. But if you're streaming, people on Discord don't want to hear your game sounds, right? It doesn't work like that. So here's the thing. USB 1 chat and USB secondary or USB 2, those two channels have the capability of mix minus. What is mix minus? Well, mix minus is basically being able to remove its own input from the other channels so that it doesn't hear itself. And what do I mean by that? Well, okay, so if I route my computer sounds or my Discord sounds into USB 2, right, and enable mix minus, in that case, then Discord won't hear my game sounds because it won't be playing its own sounds back to you. Or the people on Discord won't be hearing the main sounds. But if you were to feed computer sounds into USB 1 main, then USB 1 main gets fed into USB 2 or USB 1 chat, then they can hear everything. So very, very minimum, Rode needs to enable mix minus on the USB 1 main channel. Currently, there is no toggle for that. USB 1 chat is automatically enabled mix minus. You can't disable it. So it's again, software issues. Software issues, I think they could clear it up, they could fix it up, but right now it's not working well. USB 2 has mix minus enabled. You can enable it, you can disable it. When you have all the computer audio going to USB 2, it works well. However, here's the problem. It works well if you're gaming, right? If you're using this as like an external USB audio interface and channeling all of your sounds through that one USB channel, it's fine. However, if you're streaming and if you're used to the Go XLR, you want to be able to control your audio, your music levels, right? You want to be able to control your game sound levels. Currently, if you have all of your audio going through one channel, your music, your Windows sound, your Discord sound, all through USB 2, you have a slider for that for basically the master sound coming from your computer, but you don't have the ability to spread it out. And if you do spread it out, then you run into the issue of again, that the channels being able to hear each other again. So right now, this is just not good because theoretically, Rode has 3 channels for you to play with. USB 1 main, USB 1 chat, and USB 2, right? So 3 channels is plenty because you can have system sounds, you can have music, and you can have Discord, right? Those 3, you might have to be a little bit picky if you want game sounds in there or just system sounds, but the 3 really can manage because music, system, and Discord, being able to separate the 3, it's great. Really, right now, you can't even use the one channel because you get flooded with all the sounds, and the other 2 channels you can't isolate the other 2 channels from each other either, and use the sliders. It's just terrible. So I know if you're looking to use this device as a streaming tool, don't even bother. Just right now, the way it is, it can't be used. If you're using this device as a gaming audio output and you're planning on putting all the channels into one slider, it can work. I can make it work. And my use scenario with gaming and the speakers and being able to hear myself, I can get it to work. I do have full confidence in Rode that they will fix this issue. Give you the ability to change the volumes or change the channels and be able to segregate them out because they're known to be pretty responsive in feedback and they have updated a lot with the RCP1, right? A lot of features, additions. So I fully expect them to update the RCP2 to give you that option. And especially with the processing on the unit, it's all software, so they can program the chip to be able to do that. So there's no reason why they couldn't fix this. At least that's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully this gives you a good insight into the current capabilities of the RCP2. And if you've heard everything and you still think that this is a really good unit to purchase for yourself, then I'll make sure to link in the description down below and you can use that link and help out this channel if you wish. Don't have to, up to you. As always, my name is Stan, and if you want to see more videos about the Rodecaster Pro or just the general setup I've got here, make sure to subscribe. I've got a couple of videos down the pipeline that I'm planning on making on that, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.